Hi everyone, we're topic 18.2, limiting Columbia Association annual charge rate. My name is Annabelle.
My name is Elaine.
And I'm Cynthia.
This is our agenda for the presentation. We'll start off going over the background, then how the bill works, the proponents and opponents, and our recommendation for Delegate Wu.
So, the Columbia Association uses an annual charge to fund community amenities and services, including pools, fitness facilities, parks, pathways, and community programs. The current annual charge rate is 68 cents per $100 of 50% of a property's assessed value. This rate has uh, been unchanged since 2004 despite rising costs and aging infrastructure. And Maryland law currently allows the Columbia Association to charge up to 75 cents per $100. So the proposal is to lower the statutory maximum from 75 to 68 cents.
Right, okay, moving on to how it works. So the Maryland legislature establishes the statutory maximum rate CA is allowed to charge. And so we don't actually have a direct influence on the actual rate, which is set by the CA's board of directors through its annual budget process. So, as mentioned before, it's continued to be at 68 cents since 2004, but that's not really a reason that we shouldn't consider changing it. And so the annual charge is projected to generate approximately 52 million in fiscal year 26 and 27, which is which makes it one of CA's largest sources of revenue and supports all of a lot of its operations. So moving on to, sorry, proponents.
So supporters argue that lowering the statutory maximum would protect homeowners from potentially higher annual charge rates in the future. It would provide greater predictability for housing costs, especially as residents face rising taxes, insurance, and other expenses. Um, it would require legislative approval for a future increase above 68 cents, creating additional oversight. It would encourage the charge the annual charge cap to or the Columbia Association, sorry, to prioritize essential spending, improve efficiency, and consider alternate sources of revenue. And it would help maintain affordability for residents that are retirees, first-time homebuyers, and people on fixed income.
On the other hand, opponents argue that lowering the maximum could make it harder to fund repairs and improvements to aging pools, athletic facilities, and other community assets, potentially lead to delayed maintenance or fewer capital improvements if expenses outpace revenue growth, make it more difficult to keep up with rising costs for staffing, utilities, facility operations, and maintenance, and eventually affect the quality or availability of community services and amenities.
And so our final recommendations, based on the available financial information, we recommend a small reduction in the statutory maximum annual charge rather than reducing it all the way down to the current rate, because a modest reduction would provide greater protection for homeowners against substantial future increases, but at the same time, it would preserve some of the Columbia Association's financial flexibility to address rising operating, maintenance, and capital costs since it has some new responsibilities it needs to address. And CA should also improve financial transparency regarding how annual charge revenue is collected and used. And so ultimately, we just want the best for the people who live under the Columbia Association. And that's it.